Coffin is a live YouTube channel. I look at comic books new and old. Back with another daily comic book review. I do post daily comic book reviews. I've got over 100 reviews on my channel, so go check all those out if you haven't yet. And please subscribe and like and comment and share and all that stuff. It really helps the channel. And I just love talking nerd stuff with all you guys. So let's get into it here. I've got the newest issue of X-Men number 5, Legacy number 305. It's written by McKay. We got Ryan Stegman doing the pencils here. J.P. Mayer, Livesay, and Ryan Stegman himself are doing some of the inks. And Marte Gracia's on colors here. So pretty solid team for this X-Men book, I'd say. Again, I like they're using the old X-Men logo here in these new From the Ashes era X-Men books. I do like the original classic, it's not the original, but the classic X-Men logo that they used back in the 90s. Trippy looking cover here by Stegman. I really like this cover a lot, actually. This is really great. I just love all the little cartooning of all these little weird, I don't even know what they are, alien mindscape images. Looks awesome. Got Kid Omega, Psylocke here. This is the Quanon version of Psylocke. Betsy Braddock, I believe she's Captain Britain over in one of the other X-Men books that I'm not currently reading. I think she might be in NYX. I'm not sure. But this issue's called Psychic Rescue in Progress. This was a $4.99 comic book. Basically what the plot is here is there's all these humans that are gaining mutant powers, which if you've ever read an X-Men book, you know the mutant powers usually come around during puberty, but we've got these full-grown humans who are gaining mutant abilities. The X-Men are trying to figure out why. They've saved this one guy, Ben Liu, and they brought him back to the factory, which is the name of their base in Alaska. And in this issue, we've got Psylocke and Kid Omega, the two telepaths of the group. They're going to be entering his mind to try and see if they can get any information. So we start off here with Psylocke. She's in bed with John Greycrow here. I think Stegman is drawing a really sexy looking Psylocke here. And she's explaining that the X-Men are the only thing that have ever given her a purpose. That's why she goes back to them. She mentions Amy Vogt, one of the acolytes, one of Magneto's former henchmen. She mentions that she's teleporting John Greycrow around the Robin Banks, and she wants him to come back to the factory with her. Obviously, he's not going to do it right away or anything, and she says she's got a psychic rescue to get to. She can't be late. She doesn't want Quentin Quire telling her that she's late. So, of course, he says, "You're late." She says, "I am on time." And he says, "Early is on time is late." Which is a good philosophy that I personally do subscribe to myself as well. But, so they're going to the mind, like I said, of this Ben Liu character. And some awesome artwork here by Stegman, of course. I really like his Psylocke here. And there's some really dark inks here in this book, too. And it gives it a really nice looking feel here. Really good stuff. I really like how this comic book as well, this X-Men series in general, each issue has its own isolated story. While we do have the overarching plot line of, you know, the X-Men in this new base and the human adults becoming mutants, we've got these little stories in each issue where we've got different members of the team pairing off, and I think that's the best way to have an ongoing comic book, in my opinion, is to do it that way. And that's what we're doing here. It does kind of feel like the X-Men cartoon, too, with, you know, different episodes, you might say, having, just focusing on a couple different characters. So, pretty awesome looking mindscape here that they've found themselves in. And phallic looking building here, for sure. I like the way they're doing the text here, too, when they're in the brain, where they're not using speech bubbles. They're just having the words like out in the it's like out in the open, like they're just reading each other's minds. So it works really well from that perspective. And I almost kind of, when I was looking at this, I was kind of thinking like, they've gotten rid of thought bubbles in comic books. You hardly ever see thought bubbles anymore. It's gone the way of the dodo, but we still see speech bubbles. People still use speech bubbles. It's a very comic book tropey thing. It's kind of like signifies a comic book is a speech bubble. It's an iconic look to a comic book. And so I'm kind of surprised though that we've gotten away from thought bubbles and we're still using speech bubbles, and more comic books haven't gone to this kind of way to do dialogue. Just a thought I had while looking at this. I'm honestly kind of surprised more comic books don't just get rid of the speech bubbles altogether, because it's kind of a dated look, you might say. But anyway, get back to this story here. Again, some really awesome looking art by Stegman. I love all the brain, all the little texture on the brain here, and in the I guess the sky, you might call it. But so they're going deeper and deeper into the brain here, trying to learn about who this Ben Liu guy was. They kind of find themselves coming to the center of all of this here. I really love the way Stegman's drawing all these weird little mechanical arms and stuff. They have like these really like alive looking hands. All these little machine things. They look alive. It's just some really nice looking artwork. Some great colors here too with the green. Makes it look really creepy. And we finally find out what's causing all this, and it's not aliens like Ben Liu thought. We actually get a glimpse of who this is, the bald head. You might be able to figure it out. It was a villain who showed up in a recent Deadpool and Wolverine movie. And it's Cassandra Nova. And we learn the name of her group is 3K. And she sees them somehow, because, I guess she's such an ultra powerful telepath. She sees them in Ben Liu's head. I guess she like put a little piece of herself in there as like setting a trap in case any telepaths came looking. So they start getting drowned within the thoughts here. They get sent to their own little dark corners of their own minds here. This is a really nice looking panel down at the bottom. I just love all the background work on like every page. He's got all these weird looking things on like every page. Earlier we've got the real tripped out brain looking stuff, and then they go into this room with all the machines and the green light, and then we've got all these like, I don't even know what these are, little pebbles or something everywhere. It looks awesome. This saber-tooth drawing, just an awesome looking drawing here. We actually do get a reference in this book to Quentin Quire getting his head cut off by Sabretooth and put in a box. That happened back in Wolverine number 41 during the Krakoan era, just recently. So it was, I'm glad they at least brought it up, because it was pretty weird to see Kid Omega show up in this X-Men book, kind of no worse for wear. And we still don't really know how he got back into this body, but I'm sure eventually we'll find out. It's kind of just explained that, he's an ultra telepath, so, I guess of course he could be able to do that, but again, this isn't the real Sabretooth. In this continuity here, Sabretooth has been killed by Wolverine back in Wolverine number 50, so this is all just in Quentin Quire's head here. Psylocke, she's in her head. John Greycrow seems to be the thing she's thinking about the most. So it gets real dark here. He puts a gun to his head here, and he says there's no place in the world for a weapon with no use, which kind of goes back to the first conversation they had on the first page. He says, you'll see, and then you'll do the same thing. And in her mind, he actually does take the shot here. And she says she's not strong enough to break out of this. But she knows Quentin is. And Quentin is able to break out of his shell, and he gets Psylocke out of there as well. Like how he's all bloody still from his encounter there with Sabretooth. She's got tears coming out of her eyes. Then they head out of the room here. Cyclops looks shocked by how they look. They're bleeding from their eyes. But they give the information to Beast and Cyclops here. She says they're called 3K. They're making new mutants. They figured out how to force activate X genes and abducted flat scans. And Cassandra Nova is one of them. So we get a lot of information here. Finally, kind of a big turning point. We kind of learn who most likely the main villain is going to be of this book, Cassandra Nova. Cover for the next issue, X-Men number 6. Again, we've got another adventure with a pair of the X-Men kind of splitting off from the group here. They're all together in the first issue and had a big battle, and each subsequent issue they've been splitting off. So it's been some good storytelling. I really enjoyed this series so far, and I like this issue a lot. And it's got a really good cover, some great artwork. So I definitely give this a recommendation. If you haven't been reading the Adjectiveless X-Men comic, I would definitely recommend it, along with Uncanny X-Men. They're both been pretty good books. So thanks again for watching. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.